to continue this four or five part series explaining the evolution of the current situation with Gaza and Hamas and Israel. I'd like now to talk about the 1973 war between Israel and most of the Arab countries. It started, as always, with the Arabs invading or being aggressive and trying to cut off Israeli access to the Suez Canal, with the Arabs trying to mount an economic blockade of Israel. Israel attacked, and in this case, in very short order, defeated the Arab armies. I think it took a total of 6 days, and it completely wiped out the chances that the Arabs had of beating Israel militarily. Today's Lunch Lord is sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. Shakespeare wrote that all that glitters is not gold. Well, some of it may be silver. Gold is up 18% this year, way outperforming the S&P 500. But silver is up 35% this year and will probably go higher. But it also led to a situation where the crisis could be resolved because Israel won all of the Sinai Peninsula and all of the Golan Heights in the war. And the Israelis indicated that they would be willing to trade some or all of their conquered land for firm guarantees of peace and no future wars. Into this breach stepped Henry Kissinger and Anwar Sadat, the ruler of Egypt. And Sadat felt that now that he'd given it a real try at beating Israel, his people would accept the idea now of a negotiated settlement. And he was correct. He paid for that decision with his life, by the way, but basically he was right. The results of the war were a decisive victory for Israel, and Israel occupied the entire Golan Heights and the entire Sinai Peninsula. And after tedious negotiations, Sadat was able to extract his armies who had crossed the canal and were trapped on the now Israeli side. That led to a series of diplomatic meetings orchestrated by Henry Kissinger as Secretary of State. And they led to the summit at Camp David in 1977, 78, and 79, where Jimmy Carter oversaw the implementation of a deal where Israel vacated most of the land that it conquered in return for firm guarantees of peace. Those guarantees have held now for 60 years. But they have not resolved the situation of the Palestinian refugees who fled Israel at the time Israel was created, and despite entreaties to return, have chosen not to. Instead, have permanently settled in so-called temporary refugee camps set up by the United Nations. In the history of this problem since then has been a series of futile attempts by the Palestinians to use terror to force Israel to grant them their land that they had in 1948 and permit them to return and simply take over the stewardship of that land and those farms. These demands are outrageous. Israel's never agreed to them, and that's been the cause of the terror attacks since. Thanks very much for watching. Today's Lunch Lord is sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. Shakespeare wrote that all that glitters is not gold. Well, some of it may be silver. Gold is up 18% this year, way outperforming the S&P 500. But silver is up 35% this year and will probably go higher. After all, silver is not just an investment. It's a material that's actively used in all kinds of industrial processes. So as the world emerges from the recession, silver demand is going to continue to go up. Silver is really just getting started. TD Securities said that silver could go to $50 an ounce from its current level of $31 by the end of the year. So call the Patriot Gold Group. The Patriot Gold Group offers no fee for life IRAs to viewers of these videos. The IRA minimums are $25,000 and $100,000 for the no fee for life IRA. So call the Patriot Gold Group and ask for the no fee for life IRA.